So, welcome to step 4 in my 6 steps to successful audiobook narration series. I'm Andy the audiobook narrator, and in this video I'll focus on editing your recording, which, as I mentioned in my earlier introductory video to the series, is usually the most time-consuming step. And stay with me to the end of the video because, as usual, I'll use Audacity, the free voice recording and editing program, to show you precisely how to edit your recording. So usually I find it's the most time-consuming step of the 6, but how much time are we talking about? Well, an hour-long recording could take you around 3 hours to edit when you're new to the process. Maybe 2 hours at best if you're experienced. But don't worry, I'll be using a very short audio clip to show you what editing involves and how to do it, so you won't have to sit here for that long. Now, before we get down to the nitty-gritty, let's just remind ourselves of the difference between step 3, which was review and amend, and step 4, which is editing. Basically, step 3, review and amend, involves the microphone, and step 4 doesn't. The idea is that you complete step 3 immediately after you have recorded your narration of a chapter or section. And that was step 2, by the way, whilst you are still in your recording environment and still in front of the mic. So when you move on to step 4, the editing, you've done your work with the mic, you shouldn't need to do any more with it. What you'll do when editing is play the recording back, and as you go, stop to close down gaps where necessary. Remove excessive breaths or other extraneous noises, such as your tummy rumbling, the kids screaming in the room next door, traffic hooting outside, your neighbours arguing, dogs barking, etc. You get the drift. Now, if you find you do need to use the mic again, then you can still go back and do so, because maybe you'll spot something you misread and didn't pick up when you reviewed the recording. Or maybe the author has come back to you after you submitted the recording to him or her for their feedback, and they've asked you to change something. In a later video, I'll show you how you can still go and amend your recording after it has been edited and mastered. Now, to demonstrate the editing process to you using Audacity, I'll be using the short sample recording that I used so far in these 6-step videos, the one from Fresh Eggs and Dog Beds Book 1, written by Nick Albert. Okay, so the clip is already loaded up. Just to remind you how to open a clip, you simply click File, Open, and find the clip on your computer. Okay, that's where it was, but I've already opened it, so I'll cancel that. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just play a little bit of the clip just to remind ourselves what it sounds like. Joanne laughed. Have you decided where you want to move to? Not yet. We've done a little speculative window shopping, but nothing serious, I said. Okay, so you could hear a little bit of lumping noise in the background. That was me touching the touchpad on my laptop whilst I was recording. Also a bit of buzzing and so on. So there's a bit of cleaning up to do here, that's for sure. Now, the first thing that I will do when I'm editing is to apply noise reduction to the whole recording. Now, some people might regard this as part of the mastering process, which I describe in step 5, but I like to apply it now before I start the editing process, because what this will do is reduce the background noise to the extent that any buzzing or other unwanted sounds will disappear without it affecting your actual voice recording. All that will be left are the sounds that noise reduction's not able to remove completely. So in effect, it highlights the sounds that you need to remove manually and individually. So let's apply the noise reduction. To do that, what you need to do is highlight a section of the track that doesn't involve any of your speech. So let's just pick this little bit at the beginning here. You can see there's a few little noise distortions on it, a few little bars and squiggles and so on, which suggests that that piece is not entirely clean. I've highlighted it, and what I'm now going to do is click Effect and Noise Removal and Repair and Noise Reduction. And what you'll see is there is a Get Noise Profile button, and what it's going to do is get the profile for that little bit that I've just highlighted, and that will give an indication of the sort of background noise that's going to apply across the whole recording. So if I click Get Noise Profile, it will have taken a profile. And if I now highlight the whole piece of the recording, so select and all, I'll now apply the noise reduction based on that little piece that I just got the profile for. I'm going to apply it to the whole recording. So Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, Noise Reduction. And this time I don't need to click the Get Noise Profile button because I've already done that. What I need to do is to apply the noise reduction across the whole recording. And in terms of the number of decibels, I tend to go for around about 12. Currently it's showing 4 in the noise reduction box here. But I've found in my experience that if you try and apply all 12 all in one go, it doesn't come up with a perfect result. The recording sounds a little bit distorted, so I tend to do it in installments. So I'm going to amend that to 6 and then click OK. There you go, 6. Click OK, and the noise reduction will have applied to 6 decibels, and I'm going to repeat it. But this time I'm going to put in 4. And finally, click Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, Noise Reduction. So this is the third application of it that I'm putting in, but this time I'll just do 2. So what this will have done is cleaned up the background noise to an extent. Let's just play back that little bit of the recording again to see if it sounds a little bit better. Joanne laughed. Have you decided where you want to move to? Not yet. We've done a little speculative window shopping, but nothing serious, I said. Okay, so there was still a bit of a lumping noise around here because those 2 little distortions that you can see here were a little bit too loud for the noise reduction to get rid of. So we'll get rid of those during the editing process that we're just about to start. But this part here, you can see that the little squiggles, hopefully you can see that, have been removed somewhat, which shows that that little piece is slightly cleaner than it was originally. And I don't know whether you could tell there was a lot of difference from the noise reduction process, but there was. Believe me, there was. So it's important to do that. Do the noise reduction first before you start editing. Do it for the whole track, but apply it in installments. Okay, so now we're going to start the editing process in its entirety. And the first thing I do, well, it's the second because I've just applied the noise reduction. So the next thing that I do is to create some silence so that I can cut and paste into appropriate positions in the recording. So let's do that. I'm going to highlight that section again. This time I'm going to apply some silence to it, and the button to click is this little button up here. Silence Audio Selection is the name of that button, the Silence Audio Selection button. So I'll click that, and you can now see that it's created silence in that little section. Let's just play that. There you go. There's not a sound there at all. So I'm now going to copy that little section. So if I click the copy button, which is up here, I've now got about 1.5 seconds of silence that I can apply at different places along the recording where I deem it's going to be useful. Okay, so let's start again and start the editing process proper. Joanne laughed. Have you decided where you want to move to? Right, let's get rid of those lumping noises there. I'll just delete those. I don't think I need to apply any silence to that. Have you decided where you want to move to? Not yet. We've done a little speculative window shopping, but nothing serious, I said. It's a tough decision. Right, just there was a breath that was a little bit too loud. So rather than delete that, which will shorten the space between the words that are being said, shorten the space too much, I'm going to apply that bit of silence, but I only want about 0.5 seconds of it. So if I click the paste button, that's put in 1.5 seconds, but I'll just remove a little bit of that by highlighting it and pressing the delete key on my keyboard. Okay, that's done. Nothing serious, I said. It's a tough decision. Yesterday we tried using an atlas and a pin. That's it. Okay, that pause between Nick saying atlas and a pin and Joanne, his daughter, coming back into the conversation was slightly long. I'm just going to reduce that down a bit. Using an atlas and a pin. That sounds like Mummy's idea. It was only a bit of fun. Again, that pause is a little bit loud, a little bit long, I should say. So let's take out the breath. Sounds like Mummy's idea. It was only a bit of fun. Still a little bit too long. Let's just take out a bit more. Mummy's idea. It was only a bit of fun, but you're right. Slightly too long a pause there. It was only a bit of fun, but you're right, I admitted. And let's shorten that as well between you're right and I admitted. So what I'm doing is highlighting and then pressing the delete key. Bit of fun, but you're right, I admitted. How did it go? Again, that pause is a bit long. Let's shorten it. I admitted. How did it go? Joanne asked. Not well, I said. First she stuck the pin in my thumb. Accidentally, of course. I'm not convinced. Let's just put a bit of silence in there. That breath was a little bit too loud. I won't use the cut and paste piece of silence that I used. I'll just click the silence button again to remove that breath. There you go. Accidentally, of course. I'm not convinced, I joked. Then she hit the North Sea and a service station on the M1 motorway. Okay, so that's the editing of that little piece completed, I think. I'm just going to go back there. There was a little bit of a click at the end of that statement. Let's just play that back. And accidentally, of course. I'm not convinced, I joked. You could hardly hear it, I would imagine, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I'm just going to take that out. I've highlighted the little line there that you can just see, which is the click, and I'll click the delete button to get rid of that. Accidentally, of course. I'm not convinced. That's better. Okay, so let's just go to the beginning of this piece again and play it back and see how it sounds in its entirety. Joanne laughed. Have you decided where you want to move to? Not yet. "We've done a little speculative window shopping, but nothing serious," I said. "It's a tough decision. Yesterday we tried using an atlas and a pin." "That sounds like Mummy's idea." "It was only a bit of fun, but you're right," I admitted. "How did it go?" Joanne asked. "Not well," I said. "First she stuck the pin in my thumb." "Accidentally, of course." "I'm not convinced," I joked. "Then she hit the North Sea and a service station on the M1 motorway." Okay, so that's the clip played back. It sounds a lot better than it did. We've removed some breaths, we've closed some gaps in between pieces of dialogue. Sounds a lot better. So that's the editing completed. Now, what you will find is as you get more experienced, you'll instinctively know the length of pause in between each piece of dialogue and so on, and it will depend on whatever is being said in the story, so it's not an exact science. So, now, other things that you might want to do during editing is to apply some special effects here and there where necessary. For example, if a character is having a conversation with someone on the phone, then that other person could be given a telephone voice. And by that, I mean their voice will sound exactly as if they are talking through a phone. It's a really authentic effect, and I'll show you how to do that in another video soon. Or you can drop or raise the pitch of a character's voice if it needs to be appreciatively lower or higher than your own. This is useful if you're a female narrator wanting to deliver a deep male voice, or a male wanting to deliver a higher pitched female voice. That will also be the subject of another video soon. But that's step 4, editing your recording completed. And if you have any questions at all about this or any of the other steps in this 6-step video series, feel free to post them up in the comments below or contact me via my website. The address is here and is also shown in the video description. So the next video in this series will be step 5, mastering your recording. And if you found this video helpful, please click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel so that you keep up with all my new videos as they're released. Thanks for dropping by. Bye for now, and see me again soon.